Here's what's gonna happen. Benoit freaking Blanc and I are gonna ask you all some questions, and you're gonna answer them. We're gonna get to the bottom of who killed Monsignor Wicks and why, and then that's it.
Now, who wants to go first?
What's up, y'all? This is Critic, and today I'm just going to review the latest Knives Out movie called Wake Up Dead Man. I just finished the Philadelphia Film Festival this weekend, and Wake Me Up Dead Man was the first movie I've seen at the festival, along with actually seeing the director Rian Johnson being there as well, doing a Q&A. As y'all know, the Knives Out franchise is an anthology of movies, which is following the best detective in the world, Bennett Blanc, who's played by James Bond himself, Daniel Craig. Blanc goes to all parts of the world to solve the hardest mysteries. In Wake Up Dead Man, being the third movie, we follow this young priest, Rev Jude Duplicity, who's played by Josh O'Connor. And he's trying to find the murderer who killed his mentor priest, Jefferson Wicks, who's played by Josh Brolin. This is the hardest crime Blanc has to solve, and it would not be easy. Let me just say this. The first Knives Out movie I thought was great. The second Knives Out movie, Glass Onion, I thought was entertaining, but was a little outlandish. Wake Up Dead Man, I thought went back to its roots, being more about the mystery and the themes feeling more solid than its previous movie. Wake Up Dead Man goes straight into satire with his politics when it comes to the church the priests are in. Without spoiling anything, you don't see Blanc for like 30 minutes into the movie, and instead we follow Josh O'Connor talking about his past, why he became a priest, and what his day-to-day is like as a young priest of the church. The main guy Josh O'Connor's character is talking about in the movie is the older priest Josh Brolin was playing. The older priest is considered charismatic but cold and rude, especially to anyone that disagrees with the way he runs the church. That definitely sounds familiar. Eventually, someone kills him, and we got a lot of suspects to look at. All suspects are connected to the older priest, and either he blackmails them or gives them some type of motivation as lost individuals. You can easily connect the dots that it satires the Trump administration and also questions how far people that are religious will go to commit to their faith in the church they're in. Now, there are a few standouts and some whatever moments that I would like to point out for Wake Up Dead Man. Daniel Craig, to no surprise if you have watched the previous Knives Out movies, is great in this movie as Bennett Blanc. Josh O'Connor, Josh Brolin, and Glenn Close, I would say, had really good performances as their characters, and each of those characters that they've worked with had depth and nuance. Also, I like the satire, like I said before, pointing out the ridiculousness of how committed people were to the churches despite the sins the people running those churches they commit, the politics, and the different archetype of characters the rest of the cast had to play in the movie. Those are my positives, but my criticism is that the movie drags and at the same time doesn't do enough for the other characters in the movie. Now, as much as Wake Me Up Dead Man needed to give us exposition for what the situation was with Blanc's new case, it crossed that thin line of, okay, we get the mystery we're trying to solve, but where is Blanc to solve this? Now, Wake Me Up Dead Man has a huge cast from Jeffrey Wright, Jeremy Renner, Mila Kunis, Kaylee Spencer, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, and Thomas Hayden Church. The cast looks great, but most of them weren't that useful in the movie, in my opinion. Some characters you see for a certain amount of time, and some you just see in 2 scenes, and that's it. So that was disappointing. But I had such a good time watching Wake Me Up Dead Man, despite some of the little nitpicks I have with the movie. All the characters have a conflict with faith, and how each of them conflicts with their faith made the movie entertaining and the mystery more engaging. Love the satire because it reminds me how politics of church is no different from any other company, community, or government that we have to conflict with every day. if you ask me, out the 3 Knives Out movies, Wake Me Up Dead Man would be the second on my list by far over Glass Onion and under the first Knives Out. Wake Me Up Dead Man is going to be on Netflix in November. I would say if you're anticipating this movie, watch it in theaters on this limited release. And if not, I would say watch it when it releases on Netflix. So that's it for my review for Wake Me Up Dead Man. All right, y'all. Peace.